All right, with the tri-square, we have a couple different pieces on here. We have the actual handle itself, and then we have the blade. On some of the tri-squares, we have a 45-degree cut. This particular one has it on each side. I have other ones in which it's only on one side and the other side is squared off at 90 degrees. I prefer this style because then we can get the 45 degrees no matter what direction we go, where we're limited with the other one. This is a decent one with a nice aluminum handle here, and then the stainless steel blade, and this is an etched ruler on it, not stamped, so this is a little bit more accurate. This particular one has 1/8 inch increments on the top and 1/16 inch increments on the bottom, so it's pretty useful. This one, and like all of them, on one side where the handle is, it starts at 0 and goes down to 8 at the very end. If I were to switch that over, it starts at 0 at this side and goes over to 8 at the handle, okay? And that's for different uses as we get into more involved woodworking. The important part when we use the tri-square is to keep the actual handle itself, this part, tight up against the wood. If we don't do that, then it's not going to be straight. We're going to create some sort of angle and we're going to have some crooked cuts. Because the blade, if we were to look at it, is centered between this thicker piece on the handle, it kind of sits on it and it rests, which is very handy for us like that. So I can actually hold it with one hand, butt it up against it, and keep it there while I draw the line with my other hand. When we do draw the lines, make sure we're not crisscrossing like this, but rather that we're taking our time and that we're finding out where we want it, we're holding it with one hand and drawing the line with the other. And a nice, straight, crisp, one-shot line is what we want. We don't want to go over it and over it to where it's a thicker, fuzzier line, because we want to be very precise with our cuts. So this would be a good line, and this one would be a line that I would stay away from, if not erase and redraw. All right. Hey, we just got back from the miter saw. I squared up this end. I'm going to check it with my tri-square. We're going to make sure that the handle part is flat up against it. And if we can see with the blade that there are no gaps going across and it's not at any type of angle. From the X here, we want to measure over in that direction. We always want to start where that fresh cut is, the squared end, to get our final dimension. Let's say we want to cut a 4-inch piece. So I lay my piece down, and on my tri-square I want to go and start it at the handle where the 0 is and go over to the 4. And I'm going to do that on my piece here. Right at the 4-inch mark, I'm going to place a V, and that V is where I'm going to now center the blade and draw a line through it, using once again the tri-square, making sure that the handle is super tight up against the edge of the wood. To make sure that that's accurate as well, we want to always try to joint that side of the wood if we can. All right, so now my line is through that V, and now I'm going to go back over to the miter saw and I'm going to put the blade on this side of the line. So we want good piece, line, and then I want to see the blade. If the blade's on the opposite side, we're going to have about a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch short of a piece, and we don't want that. So instead of a 3 7/8 inch piece, if I have the blade on this side, we make sure that the blade's on the right side, and I will ensure that we get a full 4-inch piece. Okay, we're back at the miter saw, and once again we're going to take and line up the good piece, and then I want to see the line, and then I want this part of the blade to come right on the line to where I can see it. The best cut is to where I can actually see that line when the cut is complete and final. So I line it up. I go ahead and start the machine, and we're going to make this final cut. Make sure your hands are far away from the blade. Okay, I made the cut, and the line is actually still on this piece right here. It's very hard to see, but if I were to bring it closer, maybe you can see that it is still there. Part of the V in which I drew is right there, and that makes an accurate cut. If we were to double check that, that would be at 4 inches exact.